That's insane. So they can just put damn near poison and shit and just like not say anything or tell anybody? I feel like there's something wrong here because then what is the point of the FDA, man? I don't understand. Today we're reacting to why American food is banned in Europe.
McDonald's operates in 118 countries. In the UK, their burger bun has about a dozen ingredients. But in the US, the same bun has over 25. And up until 2016, one of those ingredients was a dough conditioner that's also used to manufacture yoga mats and shoes.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think I've ever read the instructions. I've never read the ingredients, what's in fast food or McDonald's, because I just assume this is probably a shitty way to think, but I just assume none of it is good for me, and it's there's probably some wild shit in it like this, which is why I try not to eat it. Like when it comes to fast food, for me, I only eat it when I absolutely have to. Like when I'm in a situation, maybe I'm out and like I just need something quick to eat. Obviously I'm gonna get fast food. I don't make a date of it. I don't wake up one day, it's like, yes, tomorrow is gonna be my day where I go get McDonald's. Like I don't do that. It's more of an if I'm just out and I need it. And even then I make sure I get like something simple. I don't try to get big ass crazy burgers or crazy drinks or nothing like that. I just get a regular cheeseburger, even though I know that type of shit isn't good for me. But at least in my head is a hopes that maybe it's a little less bad for me than crazy ass meal deals they be having on some of these fast food places.
And the CEO of McDonald's just went viral recently, eating one of these burgers on camera, calling
I remember seeing this. That shit was hilarious. Like, look at this tiny ass bite he took. Like, he barely even bit that shit, bro. He bit the bun. He didn't even eat what's inside of it.
it the product the entire time. Not the burger, not the food, the
Calling it a
product.
product is
And
crazy.
honestly, that might be the
But at the same time, I get why you call it a product because I think it might have just been something that was overlooked for him to say product because people say the same thing about content creation. People call everything content these days. And I don't think people do it maliciously. It's just people say it. They're so used to saying that word. They'll call a movie content. They'll call a new episode of an anime or something new content or just everything's content. So maybe I think it's more along the lines of something like that. But I could be wrong. Maybe it's more I don't know, maybe it's more evil or something.
most accurate description of American food right now, because there are over 3,000 additives approved in the US that are restricted or banned in other developed countries. And every single one of them got there through a regulatory loophole that was created in 1958 and hasn't been meaningfully updated since.
And it makes you wonder why. Like, are they doing this because obviously the companies are not doing it for the well-being of nobody, but are they doing it because it's cheaper or are they doing it because they can make larger amounts of it? Or, I guess that's the same thing technically. So I suppose when it comes down to, they're just doing what they can to save money while still delivering more quote unquote product to the people.
So the question isn't whether these companies can make food without these chemicals. They make cleaner versions of the same products for.
And what pisses me off about this now I'm thinking about it, is there's people fucking starving in this country. And like this food is so cheap to make. We should not have anybody in this country going hungry. You know what I mean? That shit pisses me off.
Every other country they sell in. The question is why they choose not to do it here.
Well, I don't know much about UK, but I will say it's because America, you can get away with shit in all types of different industries that would never fly in other places. And that's not to say other places are perfect. Other places in the world have shit that they're fucking up too as well. But like America gets a lot of shit for things like this. And it's rightfully deserved.
To understand how this works, let's forget about the history for a second and just follow a product. Let's say a food company develops a brand new chemical, never been tested, never been reviewed, and they want it in a box of cereal by next month. Let's call it Compound X. Here's what happens. The company would
Need that compound V. Shit, if it makes me a superhero, gives me superpowers, I'm gonna take it.
hire a panel of scientists to review the safety data on Compound X. Many of these scientists have financial ties to the company paying them. And every single time they reach the same conclusion. Compound X is generally recognized as safe, or GRAS.
That's what it always comes down to though. It's just money. Everything about this just comes down to fucking profitability and money. Making the most amount of money you can while putting the least amount of money into procuring into I can't even say that fucking word, into getting the ingredients or whatever you need to make that food. That's all it comes down to.
That GRAS label is so important because it's basically a golden ticket. Any ingredient that gets classified as GRAS is completely exempt from the FDA's normal approval process. No safety review, no testing requirements, no waiting period. It skips the entire line.
What we have seen over time is that companies are creating new ingredients, having their own scientists or hiring outside scientists to make their own.
You see, something that should be illegal, like these companies, these food companies, they should not be able to have like privatized scientists to personally review their own like ingredients. That seems like a breach of ethics or something, right? I'm not crazy about that. That's kind of fucking insane.
Determinations that an ingredient is safe, and then
And all this shows me is that you really want to learn how to cook your own food. Obviously, even the food you buy at a grocery store isn't going to be 100% free of whatever these chemicals they put in the food these days, but you'll be generally a lot better if you can make your own food. And I understand grocery prices are fucking through the roof like everything else these days, but I don't know what's more important, your health or trying to pay bills. Like you're not going to be able to pay bills if you're in a fucking hospital because you ate some shit food or something.
once they self-declare
This
that their
country's so fucked in
ingredient
so
is
many
safe,
ways.
they don't have to go through that pre-market process.
The FDA created this designation in 1958. And it was originally meant to cover things like salt, vinegar, and baking soda, stuff nobody needed to test because humans had been eating it for centuries. But by the 1990s, the FDA had a problem. You see, as food became more and more industrialized, hundreds of companies were submitting applications to try to get that golden ticket for the new ingredients they were using. And the agency didn't have the budget or the staff to review them all. The backlog was so long that it would take years to clear. So in 1997, under pressure from the Clinton administration's push to cut costs and speed up federal agencies, the FDA made a decision that changed everything.
I mean, I feel like that's bullshit though. Like, I don't know what he's about to say, but who cares if it's going to take years to review everything when it's like these are people's lives on the line. You can't just feed them poison and bullshit and just be like, you know what, fuck it. We don't want to do the work and go through all this stuff. Let's just create a new loophole or a new law or rule or whatever the fuck where we can just push it through. That's fucking so disappointing, man.
Announcement today by the Food and Drug Administration. Bettina Gregory has the story.
Instead of requiring companies to submit their safety data for review, they made the whole process voluntary. That means the company doesn't have to submit its determination to the FDA. It doesn't have to share the safety data.
What the fuck? What do you mean they don't have to? What is the point of the FDA then? Wait, let me see something. Let me see where this
It doesn't
goes.
have to tell the FDA that compound X exists. It can just start putting it in food and shipping it to stores. Think about that for a second. That's like a student.
That can't be right. That's insane. So they can just put damn near poison and shit and just like not say anything or tell anybody. I feel like there's something wrong here because then what is the point of the FDA, man? I don't understand.
Creating their own exam and the teacher saying, you don't even have to show me the test. I'll just take your word for it. And this isn't a hypothetical edge case.
Wait, so this can't be a lawsuit? You can't sue these fucking companies over this? Surely if I'm eating poison and then I get sick and then I see what's in the ingredients and it turns out that's what's been making me sick, can I not just go and sue these companies for this bullshit? Like, I don't understand.
According to a 2022 analysis, companies have used this system to self-approve nearly 99% of new food chemicals since the year 2000.
That's fucking grim, man. You can't eat anything these days and it's not going to be pumped full of some type of chemical unless you grow your own shit. And even then, it's like people say you should grow your own food, but I feel like that's just as expensive. And at the same time, there's like shit in the soil, and it's like, I don't know, man. It's what do you do? Like, not many people have the option where they can just grow their own food. A lot of us don't have the space to do that. I don't, this shit is so depressing.
Pew Research Center estimated in 2013 that roughly 1,000 ingredients had entered the food supply through this pathway
God
without
damn.
the FDA even knowing about them. The FDA's own former deputy commissioner for food admitted in 2014 that we simply do not have the information to vouch for the safety of many of these chemicals.
So ban them. Stop letting them just do this shit. Like, I don't like why do you exist? What is your job if not to stop these and regulate these fucking companies, man? What are you getting paid for?
So the system that was designed in 1958 to exempt salt and vinegar from paperwork is now the primary pathway that the entire food industry uses to put new chemicals into your food without any oversight. And this is where you start to see why the same food tastes different depending on which country you buy it in.
One thing I hear about a lot is like the way chocolate tastes in America is like awful compared to other places in the world. And I believe it. Like maybe just when I was a kid, I would have chocolate, but now that I'm older, I barely eat chocolate shit like candy anymore. It's just like it doesn't taste this like it just tastes like pure fucking sugar. Like I can like if I get like a Milky Way or something and just one bite of that and I feel like that's enough. I'm like, this is too much. I'm not really a sweets person like that, to be honest. Like, I might have like like a can of soda every now and then, but that's kind of my limitation. Like, I don't really buy candy or anything like that.
Take a mac and cheese from Kraft, for example. For decades, the US version got its color from something called yellow 5 and yellow 6. They are synthetic dyes derived from petroleum. But the UK version used something way healthier. They use paprika extract and beta carotene, which is an orange pigment naturally found in carrots. Not because Kraft can't make it without the artificial dyes in the
Let me guess, it's more expensive or it's cheaper to use the fake shit, right?
UK. It's because in Europe, yellow 5 and yellow 6 dyes requires a mandatory warning label that reads, may have an adverse effect on activity and attention in children. Rather than putting a warning on the box, Kraft just formulated for the European market. But in the US, no warning is required, so the artificial version stays on the shelf. Another good example is the popular drink Mountain Dew.
I fucking hate Mountain Dew. I used to it's something I used to drink when I was older, but now it just doesn't taste the same. Like a lot of shit that I used to like when I was a kid doesn't taste the same anymore. Like for example, the Chef Boyardee. I used to love the raviolis and all that shit, but as an adult, when I've tried it and I went back, that shit doesn't taste good anymore. Like the spaghetti sauce, it doesn't even taste like spaghetti sauce. It tastes like ketchup or something. I don't know. It doesn't taste real. And the same thing with like, you guys know what a cosmic brownie is? I used to love those when I was a kid. But now when I try to eat those, it tastes disgusting, absolutely like trash. And a lot of cereals that same way as well, at least for me.
It contains brominated vegetable oil in America, a pretty bad oil for your heart, but not in Europe or Japan because they're banned in those countries. Bread products across dozens of
Not
American
bread.
brands contain potassium bromate, a dose strengthener banned in Canada, the UK, the EU.
That's scary because like a lot of this stuff on this list or that probably has these chemicals in it are just regular everyday things you eat. Like bread, for example, like you just that's just bread. It's scary. It's like it's not just junk food that you can essentially steer clear from and not have to worry about that because you know it's bad for you. But like bread, man, god damn.
China, and Brazil, because research linked it to kidney damage and cancer in animal studies. California banned it in 2023, but at the federal level, it's still approved, which means a chemical that most of the developed world considers unsafe is sitting in the bread aisle of grocery stores in 46 out of 50 American states.
That's
None of
scary,
these
man.
companies are being forced to use these ingredients. They're making a financial calculation that using cheaper inputs
Of
in the
course.
American market is worth it because the regulatory system doesn't penalize them for doing so.
Like I said, you should be able to sue these people for this type of shit, man. I don't understand. I bet there's probably cases out there of people that tried to sue him and probably it didn't go well for him because, of course, these companies have fucking unlimited money to throw out these cases and kind of just like drain you and just want to give up actually taking them down. But what else can you do, man?
The US operates on an innocent until proven guilty standard, where an ingredient is assumed safe until enough evidence accumulates over years or decades to prove it's harmful.
Yeah, no, that's backwards. I feel like for certain things, sure, innocent and proven guilty is good. But when it comes to things like this, if people are saying in experiments and like scientists are like, yo, we've had some pretty bad results when we tested this thing on animals, maybe we should give it more time before we actually give it to humans. You know what I mean? It shouldn't innocent until proven guilty shouldn't apply to this type of situation.
Europe uses the precautionary principle, which flips the logic. If there is uncertainty, a new ingredient doesn't get approved
That's what I just
until
said.
the manufacturer can scientifically prove it's safe. And America hasn't switched to the European model for one straightforward reason. Both sides
Money.
benefit from keeping it the way it is. For the FDA, reviewing every new additives would take years per ingredient and require a budget that they don't have. For the food companies, it's even simpler. Why spend millions on independent safety tests?
So it just comes down to the FDA not wanting to do their fucking job. Man, I wish I could have a job where I get make decent fucking money and I don't have to do my job. I can just make up a rule and be like, this is why I don't have to do my job, but I still get paid to do my job. Get the fuck out of here. I don't care if it takes longer. Like, give these people a budget. You know, it's obviously it's not just one person's fault. You know, the government, they're on bullshit too. Like the things that we need funding for and money for, they don't give a fuck about that. But when it comes to making all these other stupid ass companies, giving them bailouts and, you know, giving them the money, oh, they can bend over backwards for that type of shit. But when it comes to everybody's health and food safety, they don't give a fuck. Like, you know what? Whatever. We don't care.
Testing and wait 2 years for FDA approval when you can pay a fraction of that to certify food safety yourself. Back in 2010, when one company was questioned by the FDA about the safety of an ingredient called theobromine, they simply withdrew their voluntary notification, hired an independent contractor to declare it safe anyway, and kept using it. The FDA
Yeah, like I said, they shouldn't be allowed. Certain things shouldn't be allowed to be privatized. You know, prisons being one of them, but also having your own in-house scientists to say, yeah, the shit we're putting in food is, yeah, it's safe. We can do that. Like, get the hell out of here, man.
had no mechanism to stop them. The agency can't afford to enforce stricter rules, and the industry has no financial reason to follow them. That's how a loophole stays open for almost 7 decades. The GRAS loophole is basically a multi-billion-dollar subsidy for whoever can exploit it most creatively. And the companies exploiting it the best are the ones you've never heard of. Go to your kitchen right now and pick up the first packaged food you see. Could be a bag of Doritos, a can of Coca-Cola, a cup of yogurt, or a box of Cheerio.
I mean, to be honest with you, I just assume, like I said, everything that you buy in the store is going to be pumped full of some type of chemicals. Like, it's incredibly hard to go to the store and find something that doesn't have a whole list of crazy shit in the ingredients, even in fruits and vegetables, you know, unless you get those all organic, I guess, but I don't even think that is immune to this type of shit.
Flip over and look at the ingredient list. Somewhere on there, you are almost guaranteed to see 2 words: natural flavors. That phrase is doing a lot of work because in most cases, the formulation behind those 2 words wasn't created by the brand on the front of the box. There are 3 major firms that engineer the flavors in almost everything Americans eat. The food brands hire them the way a restaurant hires a chef, except these chefs serve 300 million people and nobody knows their name. The biggest is a Swiss company called Givaudan. The second is an American company called IFF, which stands for International Flavors and Fragrances. And the third is another Swiss firm called Firmenich. Together, they control over 55% of a market worth over $40 billion a year. Givaudan alone holds roughly a quarter of the global market and offers over 2,200 different strawberry flavors in its category. Not 22, not 220, over 2,200 variations.
How different, like, how different can strawberries taste? Like, I've only ever seen one kind of strawberry in my life, and every strawberry I've ever had in my life has tasted almost exactly the same as another strawberry. Why do you need over thousands of different flavors of strawberries? Like, that shit don't even make sense.
Of a single fruit flavor, each one optimized for a different product and a different consumer base.
Oh, you know what? That makes sense. Because you ever had like different types of like candy or junk food or whatever, and like one's banana flavored or one's strawberry flavored, whatever. And even though they're the same flavors, supposedly, they taste completely different. This fucking makes sense now.
AFF purchases roughly 8,500 raw materials from 2,300 suppliers worldwide, blending them into proprietary compounds that get licensed to the brands you see on the shelf. And every single one of those formulations is legally classified as a trade secret. So when you read natural flavors on the label, you're looking at a formula that could contain dozens of individual chemical compounds, solvents, and preservatives, none of which have been disclosed because trade secret law overrides ingredient transparency laws in the US. And
Which is fucking stupid because it shouldn't. Also, like, this is really depressing because I already knew food and stuff is bad for me, like all these ingredients, like we all know this, but it's like, what can you do? You really can't do anything about this, man.
Here's why the secrecy matters so much to them. These formulations aren't just about making food taste good, they're engineered to make you eat more.
And they don't want you to know what they're putting in your food.
Food scientists call it the bliss point, the precise combination of sugar, salt, and fat that triggers the strongest craving response without ever making you feel fully satisfied. It's why you can eat an entire bag of chips without feeling full.
That's what I'm saying. I say this shit about cereal all the time. Like cereal is cool, but like for some reason, no matter how much cereal I eat, like I'll be hungry 10 minutes later. I could eat a giant bowl of any kind of cereal, and then 10 minutes later, like, why am I hungry? I just ate a whole bowl of cereal. I be trying to tell people that, and they think I'm fucking crazy, but it's true.
The same way you would after a home-cooked meal. Your body isn't registering food the same way because the formulation was specifically designed to bypass your satiety signal.
This is scary because now that I know what there's actual scientific reason why I feel the way that I do after eating certain kinds of foods. It's like it's blowing my mind right now.
Part of your brain that's supposed to tell you, okay, you're full, stop eating. And the bliss point isn't a general target. It's calculated down to the milligram for each individual product. Researchers have found that there is a specific concentration of sugar where the craving response peaks. And if you go even slightly above that concentration, the product starts to taste too sweet, and people would eat less of it. So the flavor company aren't just making...
Man, I'm glad I don't really have a sweet tooth, and I kind of like stay away from like super super like sugary like snacks and stuff like that. Like naturally, that's how I am. But even still, like I'm not immune to them putting it in other food and taking advantage of this.
food tastes good, they're finding the exact mathematical ceiling of how much pleasure your brain can process before it tells you to stop.
They're really out here snack maxing, bro. I can't believe it. These companies are evil, man. They do not care about us.
And then they're parking the formula right below that line. That's why you reach the bottom of the bag and think, I didn't even realize I was still eating. That was the design working as intended. And the reason these companies guard these calculations so aggressively is because getting the bliss point right on a single product can be worth hundreds of millions of dollars in annual sales. Ultra-processed foods built on these formulations now make up nearly 60% of the average American adult's diet.
I never would have guessed that there was scientists actually doing this type of math to get me to eat more junk food and feel like I'm not eating it at all and never be full. Like this blew my mind. This absolutely blew my fucking mind, this video, man. Holy shit.
And the number has been climbing up for decades. And studies are now linking high ultra-processed food consumption to increased rates of obesity, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and cognitive decline. But the FDA has no regulatory category for ultra-processed. This means the fastest growing segment of the American diet exists in a complete regulatory blind spot. But the good news is that the FDA was directed in 2025 to explore closing the GRAS self-affirmation loophole. But
Oh, they're actually doing something? But let me guess. Something's gonna prevent them. Like, the way our government is set up these days, man, I would be surprised if this shit don't get buried, man.
rulemaking usually takes years, and food industry will lobby against any changes that increase their costs. And thousands of FDA scientists were fired in April 2025 due to cost-cutting measures. It means the agency now has even fewer
AKA, they probably paid off these fucking people, fired the FDA agents, and be like, nah, you're not taking our money and our opportunity anywhere. We're staying right where we're at and making this bullshit food, and these people are gonna like it, and there's nothing you can do about it.
resources to enforce the rules it already has. If you want to protect yourself today, here's something you can do the next time you're at the grocery store. Before you put something in your cart, flip it over and count ingredients. If the list has more than 5 ingredients you can't pronounce or wouldn't find in a home kitchen, just put it back.
Good luck, man. Good luck finding shit on the shelf that doesn't have more than 5 ingredients. Like, I don't know. That's gonna be hard as fuck, dude.
If natural flavors appear in the first 5 ingredients, the product is more engineered than you think. And if you really want to know whether what you're buying is safe, check if the same product exists in the European version. If the European label is shorter, you know that the American version contains things that at least one developed countries decided weren't worth the risk. I'm curious to know what you think about.
You know, I'm glad he actually gave us some advice at the end, because after watching this entire video, I was kind of like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? There's nothing I can do. Like, I have to eat. I gotta go to the grocery store, you know what I mean? And unfortunately, a lot of like the organic food and stuff like that, a lot of that is more expensive than the regular shit. And like I said, the way the country is set up right now, people can't afford to pick and choose what they eat. You gotta survive. But at least he gave us some type of trick that you can do. But this is a really good video. It opened my eyes to a lot of things that I didn't even fucking realize was going on. I'm going to leave a link to the original video if you want to check out this channel and support him. That's going to be it for this though. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next one.